Hi, it's Alaska Granny. A lot of times as preppers, our priority is having enough food stockpiled. We want to make sure that we can feed ourselves and our family no matter what an uncertain future brings. If you look at the news, you can see there have been terrible earthquakes. Many people have lost their lives. There were massive fires. There have been floods. And then there's just the challenges of every day of rising prices and people not having their income rise to meet their added expenses. And it's becoming harder and harder to provide the things that we need. So we need to take it seriously and really think about it. What are the steps you need to take to make sure that you don't starve? Do you have enough food? And there are some ways to figure it out. As foods become more expensive, we want to look over the foods that we actually use on a day-to-day basis. Figure out how can you have those foods in your pantry so that you have extras of them. We might prefer to eat the freshest food ever, but it isn't always possible, first of all, to obtain those foods. If it's wintertime, a lot of those freshest foods aren't available, especially if you live more of a remote lifestyle. There's also the challenges that the freshest foods become far more expensive and we simply can't afford it. And if they're not available, how can you make sure that you're still going to have the foods you want to eat? Well, you can find those foods as frozen foods, or you can stockpile those foods as canned foods. Then you can have the types and varieties of foods that you like. Then look over the food in your pantry. What are some easy to open and eat foods that don't require any preparation? Because in times of emergency, times of hardship, and just when you've had a terrible day, sometimes just being able to open something up and just eat it. Granola bars, energy bars, fruit pouches, beef jerky, dried fruits and nuts. We might just not have the strength to even figure out one more decision today of what to cook, but we can grab something and just eat it. And that is a lot of emergency situations when you won't be able to cook something. And so being able to just open something and have it is a great idea. So try to get lots of those foods. Next, try to make sure that you look over foods that are easy to prepare. What kind of foods do you like to eat? Do you eat macaroni and cheese? Do you make pasta? Do you make different kind of rice dishes? There are all kinds of foods that are easy to open. Heat them up, do a little bit of cooking, add in some water, milk, or butter, things like that. Even a package of pancake mix that you just add water. You could have a box of pancake mix, a bottle of syrup, and you could make meals for several days for several people. So look over foods that you like to eat and figure out how you can buy extras of those foods so that you are prepared to continue to serve meals and feed yourself and your family, no matter if the day is just crazy busy or there is some type of emergency or a challenge that you're facing. So inventory the foods that you like to eat and make sure that you have extras on those so you can make a meal anytime you need to. Next, think about bottled water. It's so imperative. Water is necessary to survive. We need to have fresh drinking water. In all kinds of emergency situations, if there's no fresh drinking water, that's when people become sick. That's when sanitation becomes a crisis. There are all kinds of challenges that having fresh drinking water can solve or prevent things from being worse. So make sure that you have fresh drinking water on hand and that you have a way to replenish your supplies of water so that you have a source where you think you could get more water, and then a way to purify water. If you can get water but it's questionable, you need to have a way to purify it. It can be something as simple as a water filter. You can buy some different kinds of drops and tablets that you can add in and purify water. You can even have some bleach on hand that you can purify water with bleach. But make sure that you have some idea of how you can have as much water as possible, and then you want to have a way to purify additional water if you need to. What's the next step to making sure you don't starve in an emergency situation? Having your over-the-counter medications. If you get an upset tummy, you want to have some medicines for that. If you get a headache or a fever, you want medicines for that. If you suffer from allergies, look over the types of medications that you use, the over-the-counter medications, and have a few extras of those types of medicines in your supplies. And if you have prescription medications that are life-saving that you rely on, speak with your medical care professional on how you can have a little bit extra on hand to make sure that In an emergency, you have a few days supply at all times until you can figure out how to get more. That has been one of the big struggles recently because there have not been the medications that people want. We couldn't get cough syrups, fever reducers, children's medications were nearly impossible to get in the last year, and we don't ever want to not be able to provide the medications we need for our children. Can you imagine not being able to help your child feel better? They come to us for all of their needs, their comfort. We need to make sure that we have those things available for them. You also want to make sure that you have the things to keep yourself healthy and safe, because you need to be able to rely on yourself to help take care of others. So it's hard being an adult, but we need to make sure that we provide those things, that we're thinking about what we need and how we can make the best of ourselves so we can be there for those who depend on us. Next, think about your toiletries. They may not keep you from starving, but they can certainly help your life be more comfortable. So everything you use on a daily basis, from shampoo, soaps, toothpaste, body wash, deodorant, anything that you use, from a nail file to eye drops to nail clippers, have those organized so that you know where your things are. If there are items that you're missing, put it on a list. Make a plan that when are you going to be able to purchase those items so that you have them. And if you don't have a first aid kit, please make sure that you have one now. And you also want to check it over. Make sure no one in your family has been raiding the first aid kit, and then in an emergency you don't have the items that you were counting on. So check out your first aid kit as well. Then think over your cleaning supplies, because once again, you can't stay healthy and avoid starvation if things are dirty and you become sick. Take an inventory of your dishwashing detergent, your laundry soap, your all-purpose cleaners, and the supplies of cleaning cloths or paper towels that you would need to keep your area clean. And don't forget about baby wipes. They can keep everybody clean, and it's a great way to make sure that you can wipe off surfaces and get things clean, and that can be really important. So now that you've figured out what things you need, you have your list. Make sure that on that list are things that can last, that you can store, that can last for a period of time. And then you want to make a plan for how you can budget for those items, which ones you can pick up, and how you can strategically add to your stockpile. It can be challenging when money is tight, but even if you just pick up one item every time you go to the store, one extra item, even if you did that once a week, then you'll have 52 items that can help keep you safe, healthy, and avoiding starvation after a year. And then pretty soon you can look at your momentum that you're getting and the items that you have, and figuring out how to use those things. Stretch your meals. Make the most of your dollars so that you are budgeting strategically and not wasting any of the food that you're buying now. Make sure that you eat up all of the food that you have. Don't just shove leftovers in the refrigerator and never use them. That's throwing dollars away. Use up that food. Prepare the amount that you can serve your family. Plan to use those leftovers. Can save you dollars, not only with the food dollars you already spent, but then you can avoid going and saying getting a takeout meal because you don't know what's for dinner. You have already planned something out, and so you may not want to have those leftovers when you'd rather go order a pizza, but it's very important that we think about the future and not just the moment. Plan for the future, that you're avoiding starvation in the future and not just avoiding this momentary hunger. Stay on top of your emergency preparations and your food storage stockpile. Figure out what you use, then rotate the supplies you have and replace them. If we know that a hurricane is coming, a storm is approaching, the first things that run out are bread, milk, and toilet paper. Don't even make us remember back to having enough toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic. Then we don't have the stress and anxiety of racing out to the store when a storm is approaching, when everybody else is in a panic mode. You can stay hunkered down, safe at home with your family, preparing the food out of your pantry that you already have. You can reach into your cupboard and have another roll of toilet paper. You aren't living in the anxiety of possible starvation, possibly going without, and the struggles that come with not being ready to face the things we know we're going to need. Why wouldn't you want to have those things on hand so that you don't create emergencies for yourself by not having an extra package of food, an extra can of soup, an extra tube of toothpaste, and a package of toilet paper? Have those supplies. You know you're going to use them, so it only makes sense to stock up and have those things in your prepper pantry and your food storage stockpile, along with your just emergency supplies. Think back over the challenges you faced. What were the items that you said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I need that? And make sure that you have those items as well. Sometimes we get into normalcy bias that we forget the struggles we went through because we want to put it behind us, move on, have happy days ahead. But if you remember ever going without toilet paper, ever going without a meal, not having all the ingredients to just make a basic meal, then you can figure out how to avoid ever being in that situation again. That's why I'm a prepper. I don't want to suffer if I don't have to. I want my days to be the best that they can be, and I want the same for you as well. Leave it in the comments below. What are some items that you think are imperative that we add to our stockpile, and how can we avoid starvation in the future so that our lives can be the best they can be? I hope you'll like my video, share my video, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.